Okay, I'll be back in just a minute, Stephen. I'm just going to make sure everything's working. I don't know why it's not showing my picture today. There I am. Okay, I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, Stephen, I'm back and we're ready to go. So, I hate to say this, but this is the last video of the year. Yes, it's a true story. Try not to cry there. Your test will be next Monday. So we have math again on Thursday of this week in A and B, and we'll spend that time reviewing for the test. So you've been one of my best shower-uppers I've ever had, Stephen, so that's good. So we're going to just keep moving on. I'm going to go over today what will be on the test, and then I'll give you a few questions that will help you with your review. They're not big. There's 3 questions. They shouldn't take long, but we won't be on for long today. So the very first thing that we're going to remind ourselves about is we need to remember that the ordered pairs that we put on a Cartesian coordinate plane are always in X and Y order. And we learned, not leaned, what the origin is. So X is the horizontal axis, Y is the vertical, and the axes have positive and negative numbers. So we're just going to go to the graph page, and we're going to take a look at that. So I'm going to go to my public page. I'm going to change the background to, oh, I don't know what happened there. I hope I didn't get kicked off. You still there? Okay, weird stuff's going on there, Stephen. I'm going to try and get back to my content here. See if that comes up. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm not sure what went on there. Let's clear that page. Yes. I hope I didn't just erase the whole lesson. That is it. Okay, every time I touch that, it does something weird. That's not what it's supposed to do. Okay, I'm going to delete it too. There we go. Oh, here's that background. I do not know what that was. Okay, so we're reviewing a coordinate plane. So the first thing that we do on a coordinate plane is draw our lines. We're going to do them in black. And we're going to remember that our coordinate plane has positive and negative numbers on it. So when we think about a number line, we know that the positive are this way. And that the negative are this way. When we think of, oh, that's on the straight line, we're going to get rid of that. Hang on. So we're going to draw an arrow the other way. Oh, and this one's really not straight enough. It was getting better there. Okay, and that's our negative numbers. All right. Same as if we're thinking about a thermometer, our positive numbers would be here, and our negative numbers would be here. So this is the positive coordinate. I'm going to just try this. Okay. So this is positive. Make that a little bigger. There we go. Some days I don't know what I do. I'm going to make a bigger one here. I'm going to make it 18 point. Oh, here we go. So this is our positive. This one, X is positive, Y is negative. So that is our positive, negative. And then down here on this side, we have negative. And on this side, we have positive, negative. So we know that those coordinates are always in X and Y. So Stephen, while I'm doing this, can you put an X and Y on which axis is X and Y? Okay, so Stephen's going to, oh, maybe not. Oh, I think he goes, there we go. That's the Y coordinate. And the next one is the X coordinate. So we know if we get, for example, I'm going to go back to my pages now. We'll draw a Cartesian coordinate plane, and we're going to graph 3, 4, 3, negative 4, negative 3, 4, and negative 3, negative 4. So we're going to have one in each one of those coordinate planes. So when we go back to our graph paper, what we're going to see is where those fall. We should see that positive 3, positive 4 goes into positive, positive, positive 3, negative 4 goes positive, negative, negative 3, positive 4 goes in negative, positive, and negative 3, negative 4 goes in the negative, negative. So we're going to look at 3, 4 in each one of those sections of the coordinate plane. We're back there. So, Stephen, we're going to pretend that the numbers are on here, but these are definitely going up by ones. So, Stephen, you can do the positive, positive. And I'm going to do the negative, positive. So that's our first one. Negative 3, 4. So mine's going to go right there. I'm going to put a dot. Negative 3. So can you do the 3, 4 in the positive, in the, oh, I won't make a dot. Darn thing. No. I think I just was using the wrong tool. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So mine's negative 3, positive 4. It goes right there. Okay? And then on the bottom, it's the same thing. So I'm going to do negative 3, negative 4, and Stephen's going to do positive 3, negative 4. You sure it's that way, Stephen? You're doing 3 here and 4 up. So that one's in the wrong spot. So we're going to go to here, which is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's your first point. You should see that they're almost reflections of each other. So let's take that other one off. At least I see that other people have trouble adding as much as me too. So where does your next one go, Stephen? Mine is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drop my pencil again. 1, 2, 3. So you can see that all 4 points are kind of opposite of each other. All right. And if Stephen's being good in labeling his, I guess I better label mine. So mine here is negative 3, negative 4. And then up here, we have positive 3. No, we don't. We have negative 3, positive 4. So that should be negative, positive. Sorry, guys. I'll take that off. And that's why it's really good to review. So this is negative 3 on the X. And then positive 4 on the Y. So there you see all of your points there. So this is 3, 4. So you can see the both positive 3 and the positive and negative 4, and then the negative 3, and then the positive and negative 4. So you have to remember where things go on the coordinate plane. All right, back to other things, translations. So translations were the next thing that we worked on. And translations are when you move a shape on a coordinate plane from one place to another. This is done by moving up and down and left and right. All right, and it doesn't mean that the shape changes. That's really important. So the way that the shape is oriented doesn't change, and the actual shape itself is not reflected. So if we were using our graph paper, oh, not low content, I didn't mean to do that. If we're using our graph paper, and we're going to go back to our public page, all right, if I was moving something, I'm going to clear this page off. So I draw my coordinate plane. I'm really careful to do that in a straight line, and I'm using a ruler. Well, I'm sort of cheating because I'm using a straight line drawing tool, but same idea. So if I am taking a shape here, say I've got a square or a rectangle, and I'm going to move that rectangle to another place on the grid, I can do that by moving across, left or right, and down. So say I'm going to move this 6 over, and then I'm going to move it 3 down. So I'm going to move each one of these points 6 over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over, and 1, 2, 3 down. That's my new point. All right? Then I'm going to draw another one that is exactly the same, 6 over and 3 down. All right. We should start at the 6, oh, I should start this way. 6 over and 3 down, so it looks like this. There is our translation. So we've moved the same shape, and we moved each point on it. If I was to look at the 4 points on this, the 4 corners, I moved each one of these 4 corners 6 over and 3 down. All right? So now it's been moved to its own place. This is called the translation. So the shape is the same, just where it is different if I had drawn it the same, but you can see that I made a mistake here. I'm going to fix that. It really should look like this. And that part wouldn't be there because it was a little bit bigger. All right, so that's the idea. Next one that we're going to look at was that we did reflections. Now reflections are a flipped image that we learned how to construct and how to recognize. A reflection is a mirror image. So we did that with hearts on our video review. And if you can't remember reflections, the video is still online and you should go and look at that. And we also learned how to rotate an image. And we did that with compasses, if you remember, with the flag-looking thing that we did in class. And we said that we promised we wouldn't put that on a math test. But you still learned how to rotate a shape, how to change the way it was. But I think we did 90 degrees. So we moved it, the entire figure 90 degrees. But we're not going to get tested on that. The other things that we learned are parallel lines and how they work. So we constructed parallel lines, and we did that. You did a test in grade 4? Wow. Okay, so we did constructed parallel lines, and we did that. We did it with a compass, and we also just did it the easy way with graph paper or lined paper, where we made sure our lines were the exact same distance apart. And how we do that is we measure in 2 different places on the lines and make sure that the distance apart they are is exactly the same. And we remember that we talked about railroad tracks and why they need to be exactly the same distance apart, because otherwise the trains would derail. So parallel lines come into life, to real life sometimes too. And then we reviewed the use of a protractor to measure and create angles. Now this one is pretty hard. I know that some people are still a little bit confused about how a protractor is used to measure an angle. So you should go back and re-listen to the angle bisector movie, because it actually shows you how to read the scales. You have to remember that when your ray is pointing to 0, that is the scale that you use. So you always measure up your angle, either to draw or to measure with the center of the protractor. And wherever the 0 is on the line, then that's the one we use. All right, we learned how the scales, we worked again today, so most of you seem to have that now. Then we learned how to bisect an angle once we had drawn it. And we have to be really careful. The one thing we learned today was that you have to make sure that your vertex is where all of your lines meet, including your bisector. So some of you had your bisectors off a little bit, they didn't meet at the center. Or they didn't exactly cut the angle in half. And we also learned that we have to be really careful reading things like 55 and 65 when we're using our scale tools. So you have to be really careful that you're reading carefully. Lots of careless mistakes today. So the last thing is our homework. It's 4:11 today. So you've got, okay. So the first thing we want to do is we want to draw an 80-degree angle and bisect it. I still got the word degree in there, guys, sorry. Then the second thing we want to do is translate a triangle from one coordinate on a coordinate plane, one quadrant on a coordinate plane to another, and describe the translation. So like we just did now, move it down 6 and over 3 or something. But make sure that you move it from one quadrant on a coordinate plane to another quadrant. So if you started in positive, positive, you should end up in one of the other 3 places. And then on graph paper, I want you to draw 2 sets of parallel lines. All right. So that be the homework, that be the video, that be math for the year. So we don't have any more math videos. We'll do a review in class. And our last math class is going to be next Monday. And we are going to be doing a test next Monday on Chapter 7. And the only thing we will not be doing is doing a rotation on the test. Anything else is open book or fair game. So make sure that when you're doing the reviews at the end, we'll be doing those in class next day. Some of you still have to show me your work from today and last day. Lots of people still haven't shown me 318. So if you're one of those people, I'll let you know during class. A couple of people will be doing their Chapter 6 and 9 math tests on Thursday as well while we do the review. So if you're one of those people, you need to see me at the beginning of class to make sure that you write those tests. All right, and if you're doing those tests, make sure your page is still on angle bisectors. Uh-oh. I'm going to move this up and see if that helps. Hang on, I'll have to put them up and see if I can fix it. How should I do that? Is it showing now? Students about to answer. Still angle bisectors? Uh-oh. Oh boy, let me think. This has been acting out a little funny today, eh? It did all those other funny things too. Okay. Oh. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? Just give me a second, Stephen. I'm going to reload. I'm going to reload the content, and then I'm going to just see if I can make it go up from there. Sorry about that. I know I'm keeping you an extra minute. Thanks for letting me know, or the video would have gone out bad. Documents. Okay, here we go. And those of you that are waiting, just zip along and eventually we'll have this figured out. Go right to the end of the video and it should be up. But we're still in time. I've only got 1 minute left. What's up now, Stephen? You get it? Is it saying the homework now? Oh. That's okay. What's it showing right now? Is it showing translations? Just put your hand up quicker. Okay. Welcome to math. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try one more time, and then I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to redo the whole thing. Review. I'm trying to get you so you can get your homework and just get out of here, Steve. Keep my fingers crossed. Anyone who's still listening, it is going to come up. So what I want you to do is to go to the end. Okay, that's good. Thanks. Stephen's being really patient. What's there, Stephen? Oh, I have a smiley face. I think the homework finally came up. Yay. Excellent. Okay, so for those of you that waited, thank you for being patient. Blackboard's acting up a little bit today. I'm not sure what happened there, but the homework page is finally up. So what I want you to do is draw an 80-degree angle and bisect it. Translate a triangle from one quadrant on a coordinate plane to another and describe the translation. So if you start in positive, positive, you cannot translate it within positive, positive. It has to go to a different quadrant. And then on graph paper, I want you to draw 2 sets of parallel lines. And I want you to be careful when you are drawing the parallel lines that you actually make them parallel, okay? So as soon as you've got that written down, Stephen, you are welcome to fly. I'm sorry I kept you an extra minute or two. Bye. Thank you too. See you guys. I might re-record this class. I'll go home and see how bad it is. See ya.